Hello, and welcome to our week 2 trivia game featuring the book The One and Only Ivan by Katherine Applegate. Our trivia game this week will focus on pages 75 through 147. This week is a game that I like to call Who Said That? This is a game where you have to come up with the name of the character who said the quote, which I will give to you. While you are playing the game, please feel free to pause after the question if you would like a chance to think about it a little bit, look it up in the book, and to write down your answer. After you unpause the video, I will reveal the answer so you'll be able to check to see if you were correct or not. So let's go ahead and begin the game. Who said that? Here's our first quote. "Give it up, Ivan," he says. "You're old news." Who would have said that quote? Who said that? Bob. You can check page 75 to read a little bit more about that quote and why Bob was telling Ivan that he's old news. Here's our next quote. "Poor old Ivan," she says. "I've been ignoring you, haven't I?" Who said that? It was Julia. Check page 76 for this quote. Julia was very much interested in the new baby elephant, Ruby, and she said to Ivan, "Oh, I've been ignoring you, haven't I?" Here's our next quote. "Quiet is boring." Who would have said that quote? Did you know it was Ruby? Check page 86. Ruby is full of questions and jokes and stories, and so to Ruby, quiet is very boring. Let's go ahead and see what our next quote is. "I'll keep an eye on it. Money's tight, though. Can't be calling the vet every time she sneezes." Who would have said that? Who said that? Mac. Check page 89 for this quote. Mac was talking to George about Stella's infection on her foot. Here's our next quote. "Humans can surprise you sometimes." Do you know who said that? It was Stella, page 104. Stella was talking about how humans can surprise you by actually helping animals sometimes. Here's our next quote. "You want me to take care of Ruby." Who said that? Did you know it was Ivan? Check page 112. Ivan was making a promise to Stella to help take care of Ruby after she was gone. Here's our next quote. "Could I get some extra ketchup for my kid?" Who said that? Mac. Check page 131 for this quote. Mac was referring to when Ivan was little and he would take him through the drive-thru of a fast food restaurant. And the fast food restaurant workers were a bit surprised to see Ivan in the car. And Mac would always say, "Could I get some more ketchup for my kid?" Here's our next quote. "Bad boy, Ivan, don't touch." This is a tricky one. Do you know who said it? It was Helen, who was Mac's wife. She's mentioned just briefly in this section of the book. She was hanging a new piece of artwork on the wall, which had a bowl of fruit on it. And Ivan was very interested in the artwork and in the fruit. And Helen told him not to touch it. Here's our next quote. I've never asked for a promise before because promises are forever, and forever is an unusually long time. Who said that? It was Stella. Check page 111. This was a conversation between Stella and Ivan about taking care of Ruby. Here's our next quote. She'll be all right. She's a tough old girl. Who said that? Did you know it was George? George was talking to Julia, and they were talking about Stella. And here's our final quote. You would have been good at protecting too. Who said that? It was the one and only Ivan on page 98. He was having a conversation about Stella, or with Stella, about how she was never able to be a mother. And that concludes our game of Who Said That? Go ahead and tally up how many answers you got correct. The person who got the most answers correct is this week's winner. Congratulations. I hope you enjoyed our game this week, and I sure hope you will join us next week for another trivia game featuring our story, The One and Only Ivan, our one district, one book selection.